Hi, this is the fifth video in our series on how to use latent gold. In this video, I will show you how to run a simple latent class cluster model using the graphical user interface, also called a GUI. I will start by opening latent gold and then opening the GSS82 save file, which is included with the software as a demo dataset. It's from a study on survey respondents' attitudes towards the surveys themselves. Once the file name appears in the outline pane, I can double-click on Model 1 and select Cluster. This opens the GUI. By default, it opens to the Variables tab. On the left, you can see a list of names of variables. These names are taken directly from the data file. In the upper right is an empty box where you will enter the variables you want to use as indicators. Remember that indicator variables are those observed variables that will be used to identify the unobserved categories. For this demonstration, I'm going to choose accuracy, cooperation, understanding, and purpose. Then I will click the Indicators button with the arrow to move them into the box. Latent Gold has assumed that these indicator variables are ordinal, but I want them entered as nominal variables. So while they are all still highlighted, I'm going to right-click and choose Nominal. The number of levels of each indicator is not visible right now, so what I need to do is click on the Scan button in the lower left-hand side of the menu. When I click on Scan, the Indicators box shows the number of levels for each item. For example, accuracy has 2 levels, while cooperation has 3. The categorical latent variable, class in our diagram, needs to be specified by the user. That is, we need to choose how many subgroups we are looking for. To do so, you can use the clusters box in the center column. I can either enter a single integer, or I can specify a range of values. If I enter 1 through 4, then click Estimate, the software will run the model with all 4 different numbers of clusters. Let's try that now. You can see that there are 4 different models listed in the outline pane. If I double-click on Model 5, it reopens the GUI, with everything set exactly as the last model that was run. The Variables tab has some other options that are available for specifying models. The Covariates box is used to specify additional variables that may be predictors of class membership. If we go back to the path diagram, this is what it looks like with a covariate. So in this example, I'm going to highlight race and move it to the Covariates box. The Select box is used to filter your data set. For example, if I wanted to run a latent class cluster model on just males or just females, I could move the sex variable into the Select box. Once it's there, I need to click on the Scan button in the lower left-hand corner. Then I can double-click on sex and open the Selection dialog. Here I will uncheck the male value and hit OK. If I estimate the model now, it will only use the cases in the data file that have the value female. The case weight box is used with data files where, instead of listing each individual as a separate row, each row is a response pattern. These types of data files have a frequency variable that specifies how many individuals in the sample gave that same response pattern. You would enter that frequency variable into the case weight box. If you want to run other types of models, the Variable tab of the GUI will look slightly different. I'm going to open the save file named Paulson Long Format, which is from a study that looked at changes in brand loyalty over time. Since the data is longitudinal, I might choose to run a latent Markov model. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it right now. We will cover Markov models in a future series of videos. But if you're curious, you can follow the link in the description to our first tutorial on Markov modeling. What's important to know is that these GUI menus will look slightly different. In this case, the Variables tab has a box for the case ID, which is included for any model that can take long format data. Long format is when individuals span multiple rows of data, usually to account for different occasions of data collection. Latent Gold needs you to specify which variable is used to connect rows to individuals. In this case, the ID variable is conveniently called ID. I can highlight it, click the button, and move it to the ID box. Once in the ID box, I can start specifying the model I want to estimate. Thank you for watching. You can click the link on the right to go to the next video in the series, which is on the Output tab of the GUI.